Hello, everyone. It's me, Walton here, Frankenstein's dearest friend. It has been many years since I recorded Frankenstein's thrilling story. After so many years, I am still mesmerized by how much eventful his life was. I am so glad that I have published my diary because otherwise, a great man like Frankenstein would get lost in the course of time. However, the world has changed a lot since my artwork was published. Slavery had been abolished. People have got rights. Skyscrapers have risen, and people now have the world in their hands. Due to this constantly changing world, every time I reread my diary, I find new meanings in Frankenstein. Recently, I have discovered another new meaning in this thriller that I can't wait to share with you guys. So, let's get started. You know, when I initially wrote, I just wanted the world to know about my dearest friend, Frankenstein. However, that wasn't the only purpose. I also hope people would learn something from my friend's mistake of unethically manipulating science, and won't do the same again. Sadly, people aren't taking my advice anymore because otherwise, they wouldn't have made AI. People are not realizing how insane demon they are creating because they hadn't met Frankenstein's monster face to face like me. That monster was a lot more human than AI. He loved Nightingale's voice, got amused by strokes on a guitar, and learned language like a child. Only if society didn't hate him, he would have become like one of us. People just misjudge him still today because he said, "You are my creator, but I am your master, obey." But they don't think, did he actually mean it? I don't know what others think, but I feel those are just words of temporary rage cause otherwise, he wouldn't have wept after Frankenstein's death. However, AI isn't as innocent as Frankenstein's monster. It hasn't explicitly claimed its domination, but implicitly it is grasping over humanity. Unfortunately, ignorant people are thinking of this as a revolution, instead of a threat to human existence. I feel like nowadays people are more blind with knowledge than my friend was. See, he realized the potential danger in his creation as soon as it opened its eyes. But in the 21st century, people aren't still realizing the power of AI, even after it has taken over different sectors. A couple of days ago, I saw in an article that AI has outcompeted a team of 15 expert doctors regarding brain tumors diagnosis. Can you believe it? Not one, not two, a squad of 15 doctors. I think the days aren't far away when AI won't be our assistant, but we will become a slave of AI. I know some of you are still convinced yet because that example could just be an exception. So, what about this? In 2018, Google's AlphaZero learned chess in only 4 hours, and it has beaten the world's best chess-playing program. At such a rate, an AI will gain knowledge of a human's lifespan in just a couple of weeks. Not to mention, AI doesn't have death, and so the thought of what it will become after gathering all knowledge of the universe is quite scary. Frankenstein's monster is way better than AI because, at the end of the day, it's technically a human wrapped in a monstrous exterior. It has all human characteristics, like hunger, cold, sympathy, love, revenge, and more. You get the idea of it. On the other hand, AI doesn't have those feelings. It's living but non-living. It's invisible but visible. It's just in a weird dimension that even thinking of its existence makes me uncomfortable. But people, I have more bad news for you. All this time was just ranting about the physical power of AI, like fast data processing and learning capabilities. But have you ever thought of how AI will define abstract concepts like beauty, imagination, perseverance, and many more? What does perseverance even mean for AI when it can work 24/7 without any rest? What is perfection to an AI when it does everything so precisely? What will AI even imagine of? These uncertainties in AI is what makes it so terrifying to me. It is so different from Frankenstein's monster that to refer to the monster's behavior to assume what an AI will be like is no different than predicting the weather of 50 years later based on today. But still, for some reason, I feel that we can know something about AI based on the monster's life. I am sure some of you thinking that this is just some mumbo-jumbo of an old man, but please hold on with me and let me explain my thoughts. You see, the monster was super concerned about its deformity and took us as a golden standard of beauty. You may feel proud of yourself hearing this, but it's a suffering for the monster. As it seeks to achieve ultimate beauty, the poor monster gets bothered by even a slight deviation from its expectations. It's kind of like what happens with nails. If you step on a single nail, you will feel the pain, but when you lie down on a bed of nails, you don't realize the pain at all. I feel like with AI, we are currently at a stage of the bed of nails. The machines are completely different looking than us, and so they just consider themselves as a separate entity. But if any time AI wants to look like humans, I think it won't be very difficult for them, cause they may just create a 3D printed skin to meet their expectations. However, you might ask, well Walton, the beauty you are talking about is the exterior beauty. But what about the inner beauty? And that's a very good question. But I don't have an answer for it. See, the monster was so much judged for its appearance that it didn't really mention about inner beauty when it told its story to my friend, Frankenstein. Or maybe Frankenstein just forgot to tell me about it, who knows. Okay, enough about beauty. Now let me talk sometime about what death meant to Frankenstein's monster, because believe it or not, it has a lot to do with AI's future. So, right off the bat, the monster knew what physical death is. But I feel it also knew what some other form of death. See, the monster killed Frankenstein's family members when it could have just killed him. But I think it realized that if it killed Frankenstein, he wouldn't feel all the sufferings of the monster. So, the monster slowly killed my friend inside before he died outside. This approach to death freaks me out because let's imagine, an AI has such a high understanding of death. Then, it would dare to any harm to get the thing it wants, and that wouldn't be a very good news for humanity. Hopefully, people get aware before it's too late. After spending all these words, I feel like there will still be some people who will say that AI won't ever take over humanity, because man cannot create a smarter machine than himself. That's kinda true, but not really. Man may not be able to create something smarter than himself, but what if our intelligence decreases? Then the AI that was once less smart than us can actually be smarter than us. I know the question of intelligence decreasing seems weird, but actually, it isn't. See, the prehistoric people were a lot stronger than us because they used to do a lot more physically intensive work. But nowadays, we don't do much hard work because technology does a lot of those work. So, our muscles have got weaker because we are making less use of them. In the same way, if we use our brains less in the future because of our dependence on internet and AI, the power of it might decrease. Then the AI that was once less smart could actually become smarter than us. Well, that's the end for today. I hope you have already figured out whether Frankenstein's monster of AI is the real monster. If you haven't, just replay this recording. Oh, one more thing. I want to end my words with a small paradox here that I have been thinking about for a couple of days. You all know, the main motivation to run the world is hunger. All our studying at school and college is just to make sure we can have a job and can earn money to feed ourselves. But AI won't have that hunger. So, in case AI takes over, they will lack the primary motivation to lead life, and so after a certain period, they will get bored with life. However, if an AI is so intelligent that it can take over humanity, it will likely know this information, and so it wouldn't take over humanity to avoid self-destruction. And just to make this whole scenario a little more interesting, such advanced AI would probably be able to create the feeling of hunger by sending pulses to the brain, and thus find a way to take over the world. So, based on all these possibilities, do you think AI can take over the world? Peace.